The candle burns without a flicker. 5 hooded figures stand in absolute silence around a stone table carved with symbols older than the nations that surround it. A single voice begins to speak, not loudly, but with the quiet confidence of someone who believes they are guarding a secret that has survived empires. Outside, the world continues, as it always has. Markets open, children laugh, kings rule, governments rise and fall, and yet for centuries, countless people believe that history was not shaped only by those standing in the light, but also by those meeting in the shadows. Secret societies have fascinated humanity for thousands of years. They have been accused of controlling kingdoms, protecting forbidden knowledge, practicing mysterious rituals, and influencing the course of civilization itself. Some were praised as guardians of wisdom. Others were condemned as servants of darkness. But separating documented history from centuries of rumor is far more difficult than most people imagine. So, who were these secret societies? Why did entire generations fear them? And when the stories are stripped away, does anything truly extraordinary remain? To answer that question, we must travel back to a time when knowledge itself was considered dangerous. Long before the rise of modern science, knowledge was rare, difficult to preserve, and often restricted to a privileged few. In ancient Egypt, Greece, Persia, and later Rome, certain religious and philosophical traditions admitted new members only after demanding years of preparation, discipline, and secrecy. These were not secret because they plotted against governments. They were secret because their teachings were believed to lose their meaning if revealed without understanding. Among the most famous were the Eleusinian mysteries of ancient Greece. For nearly 2,000 years, thousands of initiates, including philosophers, generals, and political leaders, traveled to the sanctuary of Eleusis to participate in ceremonies whose details remain unknown even today. Participants took solemn oaths never to reveal what they had witnessed. Remarkably, despite centuries of participation, those secrets were largely preserved. That silence alone gave birth to endless speculation. If educated men willingly protected these ceremonies with their lives, what knowledge could possibly be so valuable? Centuries later, another organization would become one of history's most misunderstood brotherhoods, the Knights Templar. Founded in the early 12th century during the Crusades, the Templars began as a military order dedicated to protecting Christian pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem. Over time, they accumulated extraordinary wealth, established one of medieval Europe's earliest financial networks, and earned the trust of kings across the continent. But power often creates enemies. In 1307, King Philip IV of France, burdened by enormous debts to the Templars, ordered the sudden arrest of hundreds of its members. They were accused of heresy, blasphemy, idol worship, and secret rituals. Under torture, many confessed to crimes historians now widely regard as coerced. Others refused and were executed. The order was eventually dissolved, but its destruction achieved something unexpected. It transformed the Templars into legend. Almost immediately, stories began to spread that surviving members had escaped with hidden treasures, sacred relics, or ancient knowledge recovered beneath Jerusalem. Some claimed they possessed the Holy Grail. Others believed they had uncovered forgotten scriptures, capable of changing Christianity forever. No convincing historical evidence supports these extraordinary claims. Yet, they have endured for more than 700 years. The Templars had become more than a medieval order. They had become a symbol. History repeatedly demonstrates a remarkable pattern. Whenever an influential group operates behind closed doors, secrecy itself becomes fertile ground for imagination. Facts leave empty spaces. Human curiosity eagerly fills those spaces with myth. During the 17th century, mysterious pamphlets suddenly appeared across Europe, announcing the existence of an invisible brotherhood known as the Rosicrucians. According to these writings, its members possessed profound spiritual wisdom, secret scientific knowledge, and the ability to quietly guide humanity toward a better future. Were the Rosicrucians real? Historians still debate the answer. Some believe the manifestos were philosophical allegories written to encourage intellectual and religious reform during a period of intense conflict. Others argue that small esoteric circles inspired by those writings genuinely emerged across Europe. Whatever the truth, the impact was undeniable. Intellectuals, scholars, alchemists, physicians, and nobles became captivated by the possibility that somewhere, hidden beyond public view, there existed a society devoted not to power or wealth, but to ultimate knowledge. The 18th and 19th centuries witnessed an explosion of scientific discovery, industrial progress, and political revolution. Yet at the very same time, interest in hidden knowledge grew stronger than ever. Across Europe, private lodges, philosophical orders, and esoteric circles quietly attracted scholars, artists, military officers, physicians, and aristocrats. Contrary to popular imagination, most were not plotting world domination. They were searching for something far older, the belief that ancient wisdom could reveal deeper truths about human existence. Among the most influential was the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, founded in Britain in 1888. Drawing inspiration from Hermetic philosophy, Kabbalah, alchemy, astrology, and ceremonial symbolism, the order developed elaborate rituals designed to encourage intellectual discipline and spiritual reflection. Its members included poets, scientists, actors, and some of the most celebrated writers of the age. Meetings took place behind closed doors, not because members claimed supernatural powers, but because initiation was considered a personal journey rather than a public performance. Yet secrecy has an unusual effect on the human mind. The less people know, the more extraordinary the stories become. No individual illustrates this better than Aleister Crowley. Brilliant, controversial, and endlessly provocative, Crowley rejected conventional morality and openly embraced occult philosophy. Newspapers quickly labeled him the wickedest man in the world, a description that permanently fused his image with public fears about hidden societies. Some regarded him as a visionary philosopher. Others believed he represented genuine evil. Even today, separating Crowley's own writings from the sensational myths surrounding him remains remarkably difficult. By the 20th century, the word occult had acquired a reputation far darker than its original meaning. Derived from the Latin occultus, it simply meant hidden or concealed. Over generations, however, novels, newspapers, films, and popular culture transformed hidden knowledge into frightening conspiracy. Secret meetings became sinister rituals. Ancient symbols became evidence of invisible control. Silence itself became proof that something dangerous must exist. Psychologists suggest that this pattern reveals more about human nature than about secret societies themselves. The human brain naturally searches for order during uncertain times. When history becomes confusing, it is often easier to believe that hidden groups are directing events than to accept that wars, revolutions, economic crises, and political upheavals usually emerge from countless human decisions rather than a single invisible hand. This does not mean every secret society was harmless. History records organizations that pursued political influence, protected privileged membership, or operated beyond public scrutiny. Governments have sometimes infiltrated such groups, and religious institutions have occasionally condemned them. But there remains an enormous difference between documented evidence and extraordinary claims. Historians rely upon surviving records, eyewitness testimony, and verifiable sources, not whispers repeated across generations. Perhaps the greatest irony is that many organizations remembered today as mysterious were, in reality, far less extraordinary than the legends surrounding them. Their true influence often came not from magical rituals or hidden powers, but from disciplined networks of educated people, exchanging ideas at moments when knowledge itself could transform societies. And yet, the legends refuse to disappear. Every generation creates its own version of the hidden brotherhood. In one era, it is the Templars. In another, the Rosicrucians. Later, it becomes the Golden Dawn, the Illuminati, or another name whispered across books, documentaries, and the internet. The faces change, the stories evolve, but the fascination remains remarkably constant. Why? Because these stories touch one of humanity's oldest instincts, the belief that beneath the visible world lies another world reserved for only a chosen few. Whether that hidden world truly exists matters less than the fact that millions continue searching for it. So, was there ever a secret society that truly terrified generations? History gives a fascinating answer. Yes, but not always for the reasons people imagine. Some inspired fear because rulers saw them as political threats. Others because religious authorities viewed their teachings with suspicion. Still others became frightening only after centuries of rumor transformed ordinary organizations into supernatural legends. In many cases, the myth ultimately became far more powerful than the reality. Perhaps that is the greatest secret of all.